What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com, live on Facebook from the bowels of Lambeau Field, as the end of the draft is just about getting ready to wrap up, but I thought I'd jump on Facebook here and talk to you fine folks about all the happenings during the NFL draft from a Packers perspective, whether it's the drop down to 27, the move back up to 18, the gathering of an additional first-round pick for next year, and then finally the selection of Jaire Alexander, cornerback from Louisville. Packers getting defensive help, picking up an additional first-round pick. That's some next-level stuff from General Manager Brian Gutekunst on his maiden voyage in charge for the Packers in the NFL Draft. Bill, good question. Will he be the starting returner? We talked to John Eric Sullivan really briefly after the selection was made. He indicated that he would definitely be competing as a returner with Trevor Davis. I would give that leg up to Alexander. I think he's a lot more dynamic. Why not just take Derwin James? He was a steal at 14. Clearly, they disagree with you, sir. Think we trade back into round one? Jacob, I think it's a possibility. I think that's one of the reasons they probably didn't bring out Gutekunst yet, but we'll see. I think it depends on where they see the value. Trading down 4 spots and getting an extra first, sweet. That's my thinking, Jonathan. Julie, congrats on surviving Packers Twitter tonight. Tonight? Every night. No, it's fine. People are passionate. It's great. It's the whole reason I have a job. Got the guy they wanted all along with an extra first. Amazing. I mean, they're going to tell us it's the guy they wanted all along. Maybe it is. I don't know. I can't say. But they definitely get help for their defense and an additional first-round pick. That is pretty impressive. Trade back into the first for Ridley? It's a possibility, John. I'm not going to dismiss that. Absolute genius GM moves. Well, we got an injury-prone corner. Great. Now, there's something different between somebody who's been injured throughout their entire college career and then just had a few injuries his final season. I don't see him as injury-prone. But, you can. That's fine. Why don't we trade back up into the first? I know that's what everyone's asking. Maybe they will. We'll see. Maybe it'll happen while we're talking. Would you say our secondary is a strength now? Woo-hoo, I don't know. I'm not ready to go that far. It has the potential to be. But, Kevin King's got to come back from injury. Tramon Williams has to continue his level of play from last year. Lindsey Pipkins has to develop. A lot has to happen in addition to this Alexander pick panning out for the secondary to be considered a strength. Glenn Dix needs to get back on track. LOL at the angry emojis. Jonathan, I'm going to call this segment just Angry Emoji with Aaron Nagler from now on, because it's almost always anger. Do we still have to make Mike McCarthy pocket coach? I can't understand. That was in English. When do the police come in? The Packers have robbed the Saints. Andrew, I saw that said on a couple of occasions on Twitter tonight. There's that stuff behind you, books and stuff that have been collected throughout the years. I'm in the offices for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel and the Green Bay Press-Gazette here in Lambeau. Where does this put Josh Jones now? I think still competing for the starting safety position. Alexander is definitely a corner, and I don't think that means too much when it comes to Jones. Masterful play of the draft, I would tend to agree. Looks like the speculation was way off. The funny thing is, too, I know Jaire's agent pretty well. We're pretty good friends. And I checked in with him a couple of times during the draft process, and he said the Packers never reached out. We tracked all the visits, all the hubbub, all the rumors, all the speculation, and then they go and get Alexander, a guy who, near as I can tell, they didn't really, make many requests of him. They didn't set aside extra time for him at the combine, etc. And that was apparently the guy they wanted. Are the Packers going to let another team have a 5th-round pick? Maybe. Let's see. I like Alexander. Good pick. Still on the board. For who is still on the board? I agree with that, Derek. Bubble Wrap King and Alexander. Yeah, maybe. Panthers just took DJ Moore. Mike Mayock nailed that one in his mock. He also had the Packers taking Alexander, so he clearly knows somebody. If they do trade back up, do you think they'll take another corner? I would tend to doubt it, but you never know. I would think maybe if Will Hernandez is still on the board, I don't know, I haven't really seen lately who's available, but Yeah, it's a possibility. Isn't his height going to be a huge factor? David, we did ask about that, and they seem to say, they seem to think not. You know, if you watch his play, he is scrappy as hell, and he will get in guys' faces, and there is no, you know, size receiver that he's afraid of. He is going to battle with everybody. Now, could it become a problem when he's matched up against some of the bigger guys in the league, and, you know, quarterbacks start throwing, you know, big back shoulder fades high, you know, or something like that? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he holds up. The Packers seem to think he can. Mayock also picked Rodgers to Green Bay in 24. That's correct. Who else is hoping the Saints tank this season? I'm sure the Packers will be throughout the year. What do they do about the wide receiver position? Most likely draft one. They'll probably be looking at somebody on day 2, I would think. Who that would be, I don't know. But remember, they still have 12 more picks that they can execute. Harold Landry is still sitting there. Yes, he is, Jordan. I suspected that. In my mock draft, I had him going to, I think, the Vikings at 30, whatever it is, 30, I think it was. You know, I suspected he may fall. I was really surprised that the Saints gave up a first-round pick to go get Marcus Davenport. Clearly, they like his upside. But, yeah, Landry's a guy that maybe they see the value in at the bottom of the first, and they jump back up and get him, much like they did with Clay Matthews back in the day. Everyone crying about a few injuries in the last year. Look at Miles Jack. He's an absolute beast. I agree. Miles Jack was a player that the Packers did pass on because of concerns about his knee, and now he is holding down the fort in Jacksonville. He's one of the better middle linebackers in the game. You know, my only point on that is to say the Packers have reams of data, tons of medical professionals that have all looked at this kid and come to the conclusion that he is worthy of, you know, selecting at 18 overall in the draft and putting a considerable financial investment into. I would trust their judgment. That's all. Can they move back up for Ridley? They can, but we don't know if they need to. Do you think they'll target a tight end in upcoming rounds? Jason, I do. I don't know if it'll be early, but I think probably specifically in day 3, I do think they need to make some kind of investment in the position. They can't keep swinging for the fences in free agency every year. I hear Jaire would have been the first corner taken if he was healthy. There was some of that scuttlebutt, definitely. I think King and Alexander are starting week 1 on the boundary. Maybe. I think, you know, obviously camp will have a lot to do with that sorting itself out, but I think guys will be, you know, allowed to compete. And I don't think anybody's draft stock and or veteran seniority is going to come into play. I think they're going to line up, you know, the best guys they can on the perimeter and see who holds up best. Ridley is going to go to the Ravens right now. Yeah, probably. Is it possible to have too many 5th-round picks? Maybe. Do you think Breland is still in play? I doubt it after tonight, but you never know. What's our next move, Nagler? Paul, my next move is going to be to finish all my videos and then drink a lot of beer. We see who's better season, James or Alexander. Yet another comparison we get to make all year. Get to revisit the Watt King love from last season. Thomas, I thought we got rid of Ted Thompson. Horrible. Can you let the kid play it down before you completely, you know, judge the move? Maybe see what the 1st-round pick next year turns into. Just maybe. I don't know. Not crazy, I know. Ted is still puppet master, pulling the strings. I love it. Mike Mayock had the Packers taking Alexander at 14. That is correct. Let's hope the Saints tank this year. Well, you and the Packers will be definitely rooting for it. They still have so many picks, can make lots of trades. Yes, they absolutely do. House doesn't make the team now. I mean, yeah, he'll be allowed to compete, but I tend to think there's a good chance that he'll get beaten out. I mean, they don't have any kind of financial, you know, real financial commitment to him, and it's a 1-year deal. He's easily cut. Well, they pick Josh Jackson if available. Yeah, he's still out there, isn't he? I guess it's a possibility. I'd be surprised if they went corner, but you never know. What do you think of Mason Rudolph? I like him a lot. I know he hasn't gotten the buzz that a lot of the other quarterbacks have gotten in the draft process, but big, tall, strong arm. I think he feels the pocket really well. He's not a guy who's going to get out on the boundary and hurt you with his legs, but he's got good pocket presence. I like him as a prospect. I doubt the Packers would be interested, but you never know. Why didn't Green Bay pull the trigger on Martavis Bryant? Well, you saw who did, right? The Raiders and Gruden, who are like all in to be crazy and make headlines because they're moving to Vegas, so they have to like get as much sizzle going as possible. Martavis Bryant is one mistake away from another year-long plus suspension. The Packers were never going to give up draft capital to go get him. It's time for a strong drink or 2 or 5 or whatever I feel like stopping at this point. I like it. Help me out. We moved 3 or 4 spots. We got a first-round pick, and people are complaining. Yes, that's what people do. What do you think about Anthony? I like Anthony Miller a lot. Trade back into the first for Harold Landry. You got to think it's a possibility. We'll see. We're running out of first round. Speaking of which, I am going to have to jump. Hopefully I'll be back on later tonight. Otherwise, I'll be on bright and early tomorrow morning for you guys. In the meantime, make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest. If the Packers do make another selection, obviously I'll hop right back on. In the meantime, check out PackersNews.com. All throughout the evening, we'll have all sorts of stuff on the Packers moves, the trade, the pick of Alexander, what the first round pick means for next year, etc. And plus, heck, there's 12 more picks to go, so buckle up. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good night.